Welcome to Phone Booth Fighting, everybody. I am Richard Hunter.
And I'm Frank Mayer.
We do this for you guys twice a week, this podcast that comes to you absolutely free via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, Google Play, or wherever podcasts are available. If you are finding us in iTunes, you can do us a real big favor and click on those 5 stars. Give us that 5-star rating. That benefits the show. I'll tell you what else benefits the show is positive reviews. So if you have a moment, write a favorable line or two there, and we like to read those on the air from time to time. Quick technical note, because I was talking to somebody, Frank, about this on Twitter today. Occasionally, I guess some of the apps have a hard time, like sometimes they'll just automatically quit updating someone on their feed from our shows. So they will be erroneously thinking that we haven't put up a new show in a while when actually we have, just for whatever reason it's not getting to them. The one recommendation I always get on that from tech people is to just, it sounds simple, it's basically like resetting your Xbox, but just unsubscribe and resubscribe. So if you're having a problem, just hit the unsubscribe, hit subscribe again.
The old on-off switch.
Yeah, the old on-off switch, the old reboot, the old cycle your router, and apparently a lot of times that takes care of the problem. Amazon banner, Frank, this is your department, and it's an important one this holiday season. With just a couple of days left until Christmas, they've got that Amazon Prime, so stuff shows up real quick to your door, meaning that if you're hearing this and there's only a couple of days left until Christmas Day, you still have time to shop on Amazon, but you can do it through the phoneboothfighting.com website. There's a banner, an Amazon banner on the front of it. Tell everybody how that helps us.
Yeah, by clicking on the banner, all your purchases, then a small percentage, Amazon will kick back to us here at the show.
That's it, and we have benefited from that collectively. A little bit makes a difference when you add it all up, because a whole bunch of little bits make a lot, and that's how we can continue to buy new equipment for the show and all that sort of thing. We're about to do another remodel of the Phone Booth Fighting bunker for 2018, and you guys make that happen for us. So find that Amazon banner at phoneboothfighting.com. Also, all of our merchandise is another great way to support the show. Official Phone Booth Fighting t-shirts are available in the phoneboothfighting.com store. All right, Frank. A couple of topics to discuss today, some MMA related, some not MMA related, some that are kind of a hybrid. They're kind of maybe not rooted right now in MMA, but we'll explain to you how they could carry over into the world of MMA. So a lot of ground to cover in a short period of time tonight, because you are going to Russia tomorrow. There's a shock. What in the world are you doing that for?
ACB has another show going on for on Christmas. Will basically be on the 23rd, so the day before Christmas Eve. All
right, so you're going to be over in Russia calling the fights for ACB.
Yep, 3 title fights on the line. It's going to be a big night.
Oh, very nice. You can get that on Fight TV. That's the current American way to watch, I think, is the best way, which I like because it's an app on my phone.
Yeah, it's easy.
So I can just wake up and roll over and look at my phone, and there you are. Now, 3 title fights on the line. What weight categories?
Was it lightweight? I think the featherweight, and then also the middleweight, I believe.
Okay, very good. How did Dennis Seaver do over there?
He pulled out last second.
Oh, he did. Okay, yeah. I didn't follow that all the way to the end. Injured? I mean, is he still going to be fighting in ACB?
Yeah, I believe so. Just was injured and previously leading up to the fight.
Okay, and you're not going to have to spend Christmas in Russia. You come back Christmas Eve, I think, right?
That's the plan. Unless we don't get like a Atlanta blackout going on or something.
Man, of all the boy, you want to talk about the international version of planes, trains, and automobiles, like. Of all the places, when people think about hectic holiday travel, you've got everybody beat. There is nobody who is going to be able to have a comparable story to, I'm trying to get home to see my family on Christmas Eve, and by the way, I'm coming from Russia.
Yeah, Moscow. 12-hour flight just to get to L.A., and then I'm worried that I'm going to be stuck in L.A. because L.A., airport is not notoriously, it's busy. So, it doesn't take much to throw it. I've been stuck there a couple times, a little longer than I expected.
Have you gotten all your Christmas shopping done, or is everybody getting nesting dolls this year?
We rushed around and took care of it on Sunday with the kids.
Okay, very good. I'm pretty much done with mine. I got the old proverbial stocking stuffer is that's all I have to get a few things like that.
Well, the good thing is Jennifer does all the shopping for the kids. Really, I mean, she kind of lets me know what we're buying and stuff. Yeah. The only person I have to shop for is for the wife.
Yeah.
And so the kids get to buy her presents and stuff. So I just it don't take too long.
One thing I know that you and Mrs. Mir and the rest of the Mir family love is Disneyland. Mm-hmm. And so before we get into anything else, I got to get this off my chest. Something's grinding my gears, Frank, as Peter Griffin would say, as it relates to Disneyland. I love Disneyland too. And I'd never been to Disneyland because I didn't grow up in the Mir family until just a couple of years ago. And but I'm making up for lost time. I'm already trying to figure out how to finagle that entry-level season pass. And Jennifer, my Jennifer loves it too. And that it is because of that, though, that we exchanged some frustrated text messages today. I don't know if word has gotten to the Mir household yet. Are you aware of the change that is occurring on Paradise Pier?
No.
They're changing which if you don't know
California Park?
Yeah, if you don't know the Disneyland layout, there's two parks. There's California Adventure Park, and then there's Disneyland, and they're right next door to each other. And we always get the 2-day park hopper pass, so you can go back and forth to both. Mm-hmm. If you have the season pass, you go to both. Paradise Pier is set up to look like an old boardwalk. Mm-hmm. If you watched Boardwalk Empire on HBO with Stephen Buscemi, it looks like, well, it doesn't look as desolate as that, but that's what it's meant to be like. It's like an old school, East Coast boardwalk, and they have the Ferris wheel with Mickey's face on it, and they have a bunch of like midway games and things like that, and it's got a real nostalgic feel to it. And it is probably at this point my favorite place in the park, just in terms of the vibe and all that sort of thing. I really like that. Well,
I like downtown Disney.
Okay, that's nice too.
The Main Street.
Right.
Once you first walk into Disneyland,
I like that too.
Main Street is my favorite. I
like that too, but I like it for the same reason, because it's like
that makes you feel like
it's historic. Yeah. It's so I got word today that they are changing Paradise Pier to Pixar Pier, because they own everything now. They own the Pixar, they own the Marvel, they own the Star Wars, and all the rest of that.
Fox, right?
I'm telling you, Frank, it's like Disneyland thinks they're designing this thing for kids. It's so frustrating, because I think there should be some reverence to nostalgia, to the history of it. And they already overhauled the what was the name of the hotel?
Oh, the towers.
The Tower of Terror.
Yeah, Tower of Terror.
Which I really liked, because it had like this old school. It was a Twilight Zone, basically, like this old school Twilight Zone nostalgic feel, and that gave way to Guardians of the Galaxy. Still, I mean, the ride's the same. It's a cool ride.
I like the old way better.
Me too. I understand that you got all these properties. You want to use all these, trademarks and stuff that you got and all the characters, but let's preserve a little of it. I don't know. Does this not bothering you the way it's bothering me if they turn it into Pixar Pier?
No, not quite as much. I mean, honestly, the California Grand is not the
California
Adventures. Sorry, the hotel.
Yeah.
It's not Disneyland to me.
Okay.
Disneyland's Disneyland.
Yeah, it's like an annex.
Yeah, it's kind of like so them changing around too much. It's like I guess it doesn't affect me. Now, if you had told me the same thing about Main Street, if they were trying to change that around drastically, I'd probably lose my shit.
Well, you know what they said back in World War II. First, they came for the Tower of Terror. Then they came for Paradise Pier. Next, they came for Main Street.
And then there'll be no one left to help
That's right. Then there will be no one on Main Street left to help you. I just, and they're good about it in a sense. I mean, they still have like It's a Small World. They have like some of the old rides that honestly, if you were on, I mean, some of those old rides when you ride them, if you don't know the nod to the past, you're going, okay, well, this is pretty primitive. But that's kind of the point. There's a few, like, wouldn't it be fun to ride something just to feel what it felt like when people back in the 50s and 60s got to ride a ride and get excited?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's kind of like watching an old TV show. You ever watch like an old, black and white sitcom or something? And it's interesting, but sometimes, let's be honest, you watch it and you're like, okay, well, this isn't exactly cutting edge comedy. Yeah, because it's 60 years old.
Yeah.
I
do that sometimes with horror movies. I think we brought that up.
Yep.
I tell you, was it here? I was talking about that. I got the Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, you did tell me you'd watch that whole series.
And then the kids are watching it with me. I'm like, oh shit, man, the special effects are not what I remember.
Yeah. Well, that's true, but I will also say, though, since you brought up horror movies, to me, some of the scariest horror, like, to me, if I were to ask you what your all-time scariest horror movie scene is, do you have something that comes to mind?
I think the only scene that's ever actually made me jump in a movie was The Grudge. At the very beginning, when the girl pokes her head up into the attic and she's looking, and as she turns around, the one spirit is there, the girl. And that's probably the only time in my life I've ever actually jerked at a movie. Other than that, horror movies entertain me immensely. I don't really get spooked out by them. Even as a little kid, I remember the babysitter got in a lot of trouble about this because I was probably like Ronan's age, and she had put on The Exorcist to watch, and so I watched it too. And then I remember later on telling my mom about, oh man, the little girl, she could spin her head around, and my parents looking at each other like, what the fuck, and then and the girl that was watching me, obviously she got in trouble. I didn't know the extent of it till years later, but I watched The Exorcist as a small kid and was not, I was more entertained than scared.
I wonder what became of her. Frank Mir babysitter. I wonder if she had to close up shop after that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Word got around. Good thing Yelp wasn't around at the time. She'd have gotten a 2-star.
Watching adult movies or something.
Yeah. Well, I ask you that question because to me, the scariest all-time. See, like a lot of people will talk about The Exorcist. To me, it's not real. Like, it's not plausible. So it has to be plausible for me to be frightened. To me, the shower scene in Psycho is the scariest scene ever committed to film for a couple of reasons. Number one, that could absolutely, totally happen.
Probably has happened to people.
Yeah,
taking a shower and someone walks in and fucking starts stabbing your ass.
Right, and the concept of what Norman Bates was. Yeah. I mean, Norman Bates was
a real human being that was just a psychopath.
Right. I mean, he was sort of patterned after Ed Gein.
Right.
But yes, I mean, a real person that could be a psychopath, and we see that in the case of many serial killers. But it goes beyond that. Let me point out a couple things. What are the preconditions when you're in a shower? Number one, you're naked, right? Can't be in any more vulnerable state of dress than nakedness. Number two, you're behind a curtain, so you can't see what's just on the other side of the curtain. Number three, it's raining, inclement weather conditions. And number four, and probably the most important, what does every shower have in common? One way in, one way out. Not a lot of showers that have two separate entrances and exits. So to me, you add all those things up together, and that's what made it plausible
Jaws.
To me. Jaws
is the scariest horror movie of my. That movie actually, that honestly got my heart.
That's a good one. Yeah,
I still can't watch Jaws even as an adult. Look, as an adult, I still can't get in a pool at night. And if you turn the lights off, like I logically can stay in the water.
Yeah,
but I'm not having a good time. Like I am now apprehensive. I'm nervous.
Yeah,
and I am a fully functioning adult that realizes that there is no shark anywhere within hundreds of miles from me, and I'm in a chlorinated, enclosed pool. But if you turn the lights off at night in a pool, that's how scared of sharks I am.
Yeah,
that if you had a heart, my Apple Watch is on, you'll see my heart rate start jumping up, and I'll just I'll nervously giggle and laugh, and I know that it's never. obviously an impossibility, but you know, for example, if we were out in a boat and we had to jump in the water and even swim 10 feet to get to the shore, you couldn't get me to do it.
Interesting one, because that's a good one.
Terrified of sharks.
Yeah.
Dark water, I can't see the bottom. I mean, I won't even go swim in Lake Mead.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. I guess I wouldn't have thought, although I get your analogy, I'm maybe off the top of my head, I wouldn't have thought of Jaws as a horror movie, but it certainly could be. I mean, it's meant to scare. It's scary.
It is a horror movie, isn't it?
I don't even know where they. I mean, that makes sense to me. I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, Cujo's a horror movie, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's an animal, so I mean, Jaws,
no, it makes sense. No, it makes sense. I just, for whatever reason,
Man versus Beast.
yeah, for whatever reason. Now, would you be frightened on the Universal Studios tour when the mechanical? Really?
Yeah, it spooks me.
Oh wow!
I get spooked out even when we go down to like the Bass Pro Shop, and they have some of the like fake fish, you know, like models of them, you know. And if I see the shark, you show me a picture of a shark in a book, and it makes my heart rate start to raise.
Interesting.
I mean, phobia type. I mean, I won't even go ankle deep water in the ocean.
Yeah. Do you know that
I can't even let my kids go in the water, because if I see Bella or Cage, like they can play in the water, but they kind of know like Dad's weird. Please don't get in the water.
Yeah,
because I freak out.
You know, we just got a new hooker at the whorehouse, and her right arm is kind of mangled, and
she's a discount hooker.
Well. Yeah, as is. Says
it's a little scratched up secondhand whore.
Says the tag. But her arm,
80% there.
Her arm is a little chewed up, and I asked her what happened. She said shark bite.
Shut the fuck up.
That's what she said. Now in my head I was thinking cutter, but she said shark bite. So we're going with shark bite. Unfortunately, that wasn't the most shocking thing she said to me all day. You know, she hit me. You know how, Frank, you're a veteran professional fighter and you've been hit a lot, and there's not a lot that you haven't seen, but every once in a while, somebody can still surprise you a little bit, right?
Every once in a while, I see a new move. I'm like, oh, okay. I haven't seen that yet.
Exactly. Every once in a while, somebody can hit you just a little harder, you know, enough to where even after all these years,
different angle.
Yeah, you go, whoa, okay, got my attention. This girl did that to me because she was asking me if she should put her pictures, her face, if she should show her face essentially on the website. And almost all the hookers do. But occasionally, one of two things will happen. There are some girls there that there's no evidence of them on the website. And they're basically word of mouth. And they could be, you know, their family doesn't know what they're doing, or, you know, they live some sort of quiet suburban Midwest life when they're not out there with their husband and kids and all that. So that does occasionally happen. And then the other thing that occasionally happens is there's a girl who will like pixelate her face, so they'll like blur her face. Ironically, the ones that I've known that have done that are some of the best looking ones. Like, there's not a reason that they're doing it aesthetically. It's actually because they're trying to maintain some anonymity. It's counterintuitive though, because guys see it and they're like, oh, there must be a reason they're hiding that, right? But
see, I wouldn't assume that. I would assume that they're pixelating their face because they don't want their neighbors to know what they're doing.
Right. And that's usually
they think they're on a vacation and they're they're getting some extra money.
And that's usually the case. But anyway, this girl with shark bite was asking me what she thought what I thought she should do about showing her face on the website. And I was explaining, well, you're going to make more money if your face is on the website and all that. And she was a reasonably attractive lady. Little older, at this point in her career, but still somewhat attractive.
She's had more lays behind her than she has ahead of her.
Exactly, probably so. But then she hit me with a, kind of like you described that Alistair Overeem elbow to the rib cartilage. You know, you'd been hit before, but not quite like that. Yeah. She stung me. She said I wasn't ready for it. It came out of nowhere. She just was talking about this, whether she should or shouldn't show her face. And she looks at me and she goes, well, I'll be honest with you. I got 4 kids out there somewhere. And I'd like for them to come looking for me at some point. But when they do, I just want to show that I made something of myself. And I was like, whoa.
And that's why she wants her face seen on there?
No, that's why. I think what she was saying was she didn't want to just show her face right off, because by the time that the 4 estranged children track her down, she wants to be like top hooker of the month or something to really show she's achieved some status.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So keep that in mind this Christmas season. If you're you're having maybe a rough month, that sometimes things like that go through people's heads.
How bad is her life that that's a highlight? Like, that's an aspiration. Be like, I am the top whore here at the brothel.
It's tough.
That's something my kids can really fucking hold on to.
It's
I don't want them to see what I'm actually hiding in my closet. I'm like, holy fuck, what skeletons do you have?
Yeah. Well, there's in the bubble, there's a lot of competition over that top accolade, and there's prizes, and what they really like it is because.
Hold on, you guys really do keep track of who the top
whore
is?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. There is. When you go in,
now, do you go off of numbers of guys they fucked, or how much money they
made?
Money.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing is, some of the top girls,
you can put on the Grinder Award for girl has fucked the most dudes.
We'll get it sponsored.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, you know what? You didn't quite make the most money, but you fucked the most dicks.
No, you know what? Like
you're grinding it out, you know?
Like the Perfect Attendance Award.
Yeah,
everybody's eligible for that one. You don't have to be smart. You just have to show up every day.
There you go. So the girl could just be a grinder.
You could be. Well, no, to answer your question, though, when you walk in, there is a plaque, and it's a wood plaque, and there's a different plaque for every year, and each month has a gold engraved thing on it with the girl's name, top girl of whatever month.
You mean a gold engraved dick?
No, it's just a little nameplate. I mean,
there's a thing.
That would be distasteful, Frank. You did that. No, it's a little nameplate. It's engraved. And
I took it too far.
You did. And then at the end of the year, at the very top is where they put the prostitute of the year for that individual house. And so we have 7 brothels, so each house has its own plaque.
Who's like the Hall of Famer?
Air Force Amy. I mean, that's the Babe Ruth of legal prostitution right there.
Is she still working?
Still grinding away.
How old is she?
I'm going to say
she's in her 50s, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. She's in her mid-50s, I'm going to say, at least. Yeah. But, yeah, she's still plugging away. But I'll tell you the main reason that they fight for this is because there's some prizes that come with it. But the main thing is you get the pick of any room in the house. So you get like the nicest suite with the nicest tub and the nicest, all that stuff. And you get featured at the top of the website. So like before anybody else, you see anybody else's profile, you're seeing their main profile right there at the top.
Okay.
So there's some business reasons why you would want to get that designation.
Okay.
But then again, this is my way of thinking, which I think is kind of what you were alluding to. On the other hand, you don't want to be looking for a car on a car lot and realize that look up on the wall and realize that you're dealing with the salesman of the year. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want the guy who's the best at selling you a car. You want the guy who's the worst.
Right.
Because that's probably going to get you the better deal. So I kind of look at it a different way. Like, don't give me the one who's got the most polished negotiating skills. That's going to cost me more money.
Oh, yeah, I can see it that way, yeah.
Yeah. So where did we start with this? Disneyland, right?
Yeah, Disneyland.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just a little brothel story I had chambered for you. But taking it full circle before we move to anything else, I'll tell you who else. I would be interested to see if they're upset about this Paradise Pier change at Disneyland as I am, is one Brendan Schaub. Because Brendan was very upset about the Tower of Terror change. Not happy. It had been his favorite ride since childhood, and there was a picture of him outside Tower of Terror, essentially saying goodbye to it on the last weekend that it was open. And I believe his caption on Instagram was something like, "Hope you're happy, Guardians of the Galaxy. You're crushing my childhood
And it doesn't even fit very well.
Fondness here. Right. I mean,
the whole ride doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, it opens up and goes. I mean, it made sense as Tower of the Terror, and it was fun. You walk through the line. There's all these little things you can read about and stuff, and like the whole, the whole theme, of the ride was cool. But like now with the whole Guardians of the Galaxy, and I like the franchise. I like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But the whole, it just doesn't make sense as a.
Yeah, it's like
as it opens up and you see a screen, it's like a little, then it's a quick little cut scene to, some action going on, then it drops you down and lifts you up, and it's like, okay, this isn't even like, this ride doesn't make sense. I don't know. It doesn't
fit the theme of the movie.
No, it was very forced. It's like, okay, I mean, basically we're just up and down and you're opening up the screen and we're dropping and you're just showing us, it's the theme of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but obviously, years from now, people forget that it was originally a different ride.
Yeah.
I think people will be like, oh, this is kind of a stupid ride. Like, it doesn't make sense. Not realizing like, well, they just kind of overhauled it and got rid of the Tower of Terror.
Yeah. You did make me feel a little better, though, by reminding me about Main Street in Disneyland. Because you're right. That area, it's just as it was. It should stay that way, even down to the silent movie. I like the silent movie theater.
No, the whole thing.
I like going into that.
We go inside, the Abraham Lincoln and, the whole thing. Like, that's one of the things that, like, no matter how stressed out I am or if things are going, rough in life, when we take trips down there, like when I walk down that area, it makes me, it's kind of like, the feeling you had at Christmas as a kid,
Yeah, that's true. All right, that does make me feel better. And the fact that it's not in Disneyland proper. So, all right, you made me feel better a little bit.
Cool.
Not going to keep me from going. In fact, if anything, it probably sold another trip because Jennifer was like, we have to go before January, whatever it was, before they're making the change. So it's really just a good excuse to go.
I don't mind them redoing the rides too, either. I mean, to that point, like, for example, I don't know what it is, but the Matterhorn, I hate that ride.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like old technology, and I think they've tried to revamp it a little bit, but I mean, the difference between riding on that ride and riding like on Cars Land.
Yeah.
Cars Land, I mean, it's like being in it moves, it's fast, but
you can stretch
out.
There's
no pain whatsoever.
Yeah.
But every time I get on the Matterhorn, I'm just like, fuck, this is going to hurt.
Yeah, you got to cram your big old Frank Mir body into...
That, it just jerks around and slams. I mean, my spine, I could feel it. I'm just like going, fuck, I mean, like it jerks. It's just not a pleasant...
Yeah.
It's very rough, It's like I'm getting the shit beat out of me,
Yeah, true. All right. Hey, I've got an interesting dilemma to present you with, something that I'm going to be dealing with next week. And a lot of our Phone Booth Fighting listeners have weighed in on our Phone Booth Fighting Facebook page, so we're going to incorporate their thoughts into this debate. Before we do that, though, first, just a quick mention here of the passing of noted MMA coach Robert Follis, who up until a month ago was a very familiar face over at Extreme Couture here in Las Vegas, Randy Couture's gym. Now, I did not know Robert. I have met him a couple times, media stuff. He's one of those guys you see all the time, and if you don't know the name, you see his face, you're like, oh, I've seen this guy a million times. I mean, he was cornering several fighters over at the Ultimate Fighter finale that I was at a few weeks back. Most notably, he was Miesha Tate's coach, Kevin Lee's coach most recently, but maybe very notably Miesha Tate's coach. One of the original founding members of Team Quest, too, with Dan Henderson, Chael Sonnen, right? All those guys, yeah. So he'd been around forever, and he left Extreme Couture about a month ago. I don't know the real details of why, but Eric Sicknick, who is one of the other coaches over there, I did see him on MMA Junkie a couple of weeks back, and he was saying, I was kind of reading between the lines, it just sounded like creative differences. There was something about everybody not being on the same page or something like that. That's usually what that means. But yeah, he committed suicide just a couple days ago over the weekend. So just really sad that happened. And I mean, did you know him? Had you met him?
Not any better than what you did.
Yeah, right.
I
right.
mean, a couple times going down to the gyms or just at fights, seeing him. Hey, what's up? Like, acknowledging we knew who each other were.
Yeah.
But I never even so much as sat down and had lunch with the guy.
I know Miesha Tate was very close with him, very fond with him. She had put on her Instagram, I think he had cornered her last 8 fights or something. I mean, it was a lot of them. Obviously, her championship. And I do know just from talking to Misha and interviewing her and things like that over the years. I mean, that was a name she was always mentioning in terms of being really happy with her coach and stuff like that. So anyway, I mean, obviously neither you nor I had a real close personal association, but definitely, it probably says something that we didn't really know him or have an association with him. But when you say the name, both of us are like, oh, absolutely know who that is. I mean, it just shows you what a wide shadow he cast.
Yeah,
so,
he had a successful coaching career in MMA.
Yeah.
Sad to know that that things got so bad for him that was his options.
I know. So just a moment of remembrance there for Robert Follis, one of the MMA community's own. Okay, here is my dilemma, Frank. So I am going to a concert next week here in Las Vegas. Go and see the Misfits. And the Misfits are reuniting with their original lineup. They're only doing 2 shows in America this year with this original lineup next week. And then a couple days later, they're doing New Year's Eve in Los Angeles. And that just those 2 shows. They're using a new technology. It's created by a company called Yonder. And it is a way to combat cell phones, the prevalent use of cell phones inside concert venues. So concerts now are just like MMA fights or anything else you go to. You're going to go through metal detector. You're obviously not going to be allowed to carry weapons in, but you are allowed to carry your cell phone in. You are allowed to wear a smartwatch, for example. So this new company, Yonder, what they do is the Misfits are not going to allow cell phones or smartwatches to be used inside the venue. The general objection is that, well, it's twofold probably. One, they don't want pirated content getting out there, people posting their own videos.
Why not a smartwatch, though?
I think that's the second part of it, which is they don't want people staring at screens, texting, all that kind of stuff. Because the idea, like in a movie theater when they tell you...
no one's going to hold their watch up like this.
I don't think so either. I think that's a little bit of a overkill.
Yeah,
but
I'm trying to think of like, if you put my phone in the case and I could still at least answer, like, because you get like little,
Yeah. Can't talk right now.
You have the smart way.
Call you back.
Call you back.
Right.
Yes, sure, no problem.
Right.
That would be easy then.
My guess is they don't want people staring at the screens because they want everybody to pay attention, sort of just like they tell you in a movie theater, don't look at the screens because the light distracts people. But here's the thing. I mean, this is not a movie. This is a punk rock concert. I mean, this isn't a recital, And actually, just before we talk about what this technology does, I go to a lot of concerts, and this can actually pertain to MMA fights as well, because obviously, as a member of the media, can't, nor would I choose to anyway, film fights on my phone or something like that. But up in the stands, you see it all the time, people filming stuff, and I don't know if people can say that they've attended fights and it's been prevalent enough to bother them. I have heard from a lot of people who say that bothers them about concerts, and what it bothers them is, especially if it's like standing. So it's not like an inclined seating like in a theater, but, like 1,000 people are crowded around a stage standing on a floor, and a band's playing and everybody's holding their arms up and cell phones and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's annoying.
I have heard people say that it's frustrating to basically see someone watch an entire show through on a little screen.
Well, I just don't want you blocking my view.
There's that.
That's how you're enjoying it.
There's that, right? Okay. So I understand that. But this new technology, this company Yonder, what they're going to do is when I go into this Misfits show, go through the metal detector like normal. If I choose to take my cell phone and or smartwatch with me, I could just leave it in the car, but if I decide to take it with me, this company Yonder takes my cell phone and they put it in this locking pouch. And it's form-fitting to the phone. I can keep my the phone on me. So like if you're expecting a call, babysitter, family emergency, something like that, you'll feel it vibrate when you're in the venue. You can step outside to an unlocking station, unlock it, use the phone, take the call, put it back in and lock it, and then go back in. That's the concept behind this. I'm not real comfortable with this, and I'll tell you why. First of all, yeah, I know it's annoying if people are holding cell phones up and filming things and all that kind of stuff, but it's annoying if if everybody's seated and somebody just stands up in front of you the whole time too. I mean, it's like since the beginning of time, assholes have figured out a way to be assholes. You know what I mean?
That actually does annoy the shit out of me. I don't get that.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey guys, if we all sit down, we all can see the same, but then if you stand up, we all stand up.
Yeah.
And now you're standing with the same exact fucking view, but now you're standing.
But
if you sat down, we have the same. We have a view.
It's frustrating. However, I think all you can hope for in that situation, and this is the policy I've always adhered to, is if nobody's standing up in front of you, don't stand up. I get it if, for whatever reason you can't control them, but 20 rows of people are standing up in front of you. Okay, well, maybe you have to stand up.
Yeah.
But certainly sit down once all the people in front of you sit down. Those are the people that get me even worse, are the ones that are, oh my God, no one is standing up in front of you and you're standing up. But here's why I don't like this idea. I'm worried about the safety aspect of it. I mean, what if there's an emergency? I mean, cell phones now, that's why you have them. I mean, you call 911 or a lot of times now how does evidence get created? Things get filmed. We're just a couple of months removed from a mass shooting.
Yeah.
And obviously there's security personnel there already.
Yeah.
But
there'll be people that have access to their phones and call 911.
Yeah, there is, but at the same time, that's how you get. I'm not saying it's great for everybody to just stop and film everything, but it does help actually sometimes, and maybe not in a mass shooting situation, but like a I don't know, maybe there's a fight. I mean, maybe somebody attacks another person. Well, a lot of times if you've got the video now of that, it's kind of I don't know. Do you think I'm off on that?
I actually like it.
Wait, you like what? You like the idea?
I like the idea.
Oh, see, this surprises me. Okay, because I actually thought that you would be concerned about having it sort of taken out of your use, maybe for that reason. Not to mention Clash of Clans, but
right. No, well, I mean, one, if I need the kids, something comes up. If you're telling me that within just a minute or two, I can step out in the hallway and use my phone.
Yeah.
That's what I would do anyways. I wouldn't, if one of the kids called me or the babysitter and I needed to communicate.
Yeah.
I'm not an asshole.
Right.
I'm an asshole, but not that.
Not for that reason. Yeah.
Plenty I'm not going to use the fucking phone.
Yeah.
Next to everybody. Like, if I get a phone call in a theater, I keep my phone on vibrate. The phone vibrates. I look, oh shit, this has something to do with the kids or something. You know what I mean? It's, Britta calling. Or
okay.
I'm going to get up, leave the theater, and then answer the phone and go, hey, what's up?
Yeah. Well,
it seems to me that a lot of people don't have that fucking common courtesy. So it's like, all right, well, I mean, it's not really throwing a damper in my day. I'm not going to videotape the fucking shit. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to use my phone during the event. I'll step outside if I have to. So if this pouch is forcing people to do what I would normally do anyways.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I see that point of view, and that makes me think a little differently about it. I will say this, though. A lot of times when people film it, and this is the case with Jennifer, she loves putting something on her, like, Instagram or Snapchat or something like that. So you get a little clip of it, and people post that to their social media. And honestly, in this day and age, whether it be whatever kind of act it is, musical or otherwise, but especially musical, they count on social media for promotion. So you're actually helping them in that sense.
Yeah.
Now, I do the same thing. For me, though, there's a difference between what I'll do at a concert is I'll go, okay, I'm just going to get one or two clips of this song or that song, and that's it. Something, little souvenir, little something to post on social media, but not stand there the whole time like this for a couple of reasons. One, yeah, I don't want to annoy the people around me, but two, I'm going to miss out. Yeah. I'm not going to do this the whole time. I just want to do it for a second. So, that's something I'm conscientious of anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm also conscientious of, like, when I went to see Jason Isbell at the Orpheum Theater, where you and I have seen the EBI tournaments, that was a sit-down theatrical setting. and we were like fourth row, and there weren't a lot of people holding their phones up, so I didn't do it. It was kind of like, is everybody doing this or is nobody doing it? And if nobody's doing it, don't be the one doing it. If everybody's doing it, maybe it's a little different. Let's go to our social media, though, because it was interesting. People had different points of view on this, and they weighed in on our Phone Booth Fighting Facebook page. So let me share a couple of these. Scott Wagner says, oh, this is a good idea. They should have one designated song that everybody can take pictures and video of, then cut it off for the rest of the show. Using a phone the whole show should be totally banned. That's an interesting idea.
Oh, that gives you your social media.
Yeah, because you know what you could do? Here's what you could do. I don't even know if this happens so much anymore, but in the old days, on backstage passes, you would see there were different kinds of backstage passes. So there'd be all access, there'd be after show, which was usually for like a meet and greet kind of thing. And then photographers from newspapers, magazines would have a photo backstage pass. And what that backstage pass would usually say is, it would say first 3 songs on it. And what that meant is, for the first 3 songs, the photographers could go out, get up against the front of the stage, shoot their pictures, but then get out of the way so they're not out there the whole show blocking everybody's view. That would kind of make sense. If you just said, hey, you know what? The opening number, that's when we're going to do that. Let's get it out of the way, shoot whatever you want to shoot, and then, you know, And now you'd still have to go around and try to police it, but I think there would actually be more sort of social pressure on everybody at that point to kind of go, hey, look, you know, when it's the first song, we're on the 4th song now, put your phone away, it's blocking me. Like, I think if that were more of an accepted approach, everybody would maybe adhere to that.
Yeah, I like that.
Matthew Okonski says, good, let people enjoy the show. He likes his policy. Preston Carlisle says, they're fucking retarded if they think they're losing money off cell phone quality videos on YouTube. Now, that's what bothers a lot of people, is that...
is that the reason why they're doing it?
Well, it could be. It could be at least part of it. A lot of the acts are not going to like the fact that somebody's shooting their own stuff, putting it on YouTube, and then actually getting paid per click on YouTube. It's not making anybody rich, but you're still getting paid off of it.
Yeah, with the quality of the show, if that act has their professionally filmed performance uploaded on YouTube, why would you click on the fucking the potato quality handheld phone shot by a
Well, and let me give you an example of where I think and what they're going to try to do at the Misfits is really an undertaking, because MGM Grand, you fought there. I mean, that holds 8,000 people. Oh, yeah. I mean, so close to 10, I think 9, maybe something like that. So trying to process that many people through all this is I'm going to be real interested to see what that looks like. Now, the times that I know this technology has been used in the past has been in smaller venues. So Stone Temple Pilots just announced a new singer. They have a new singer now. And they did a little show at a club in L.A. on the Sunset Strip that holds like you could probably cram 400 people in there. Now, they did it so that footage didn't leak out of this intimate show, which I can see. However, getting back to the idea of helping the bands promote, if you're announcing some new lead singer and you want to get the word of that out, your fans could actually be helping you do that via certain social media and hashtags and things like that. Spencer Everly says this, Frankie says, people often record parts of shows to be able to revisit that memory when they feel like it. I do that. I don't mean it as a sign of disrespect, but in fact, it's me anticipating that I will want to cherish that given moment for years to come. I say bands need to chill the fuck out and let their fans do as they please. They bought the tickets after all. And Spencer brings up, back before smartphones, this was much more easily enforced, Because first of all, I mean, when I grew up going to concerts, first of all, nobody was videotaping them because you'd have to carry a camcorder in over your shoulder. You could maybe snap a photo, and there weren't metal detectors back then, but everybody wasn't carrying an Instamatic on them, so it really came along with the phones.
Yeah.
But like Spencer says, I think it's a fine line to walk. I think it's totally reasonable to say, look, we don't want you being, selfish assholes ruining everybody's experience. At the same time, we are flattered and appreciate the fact that maybe you want to get a little snippet of this. Maybe you want to post it on your social media. I like the first guy's idea about let's designate a place to do it, and then or song, and then cut it off. A couple of more.
Oh, you know what? You can go ahead and just split the theater down the middle.
Oh, like a section.
Yeah. Left side are for assholes that want to use their phones. Right side is for the assholes that don't want to use their phones.
I'll tell you what, Frank.
So
I like this idea.
If you like using a cell phone, then you're not going to be bitching that someone in front of you is also using a cell phone because you're using a cell phone.
Yep.
But if you're that guy that doesn't want to look at someone's cell phone, you can sit in the other section where now I'm sitting in the section where I don't have to look up at a screen in front of me.
Great idea. Let me tell you. This I had not thought of this. I'm glad we're having this discussion because it's making you and then our phone booth fighting listeners are bringing a lot of thoughts to mind that I hadn't considered. The Grateful Dead was one of the few bands that allowed themselves to be bootlegged. Like you was open invitation to come in, record them, and their fans would trade tapes. Now, this was before the internet. Obviously, now you just watch YouTube videos. But it was more of an endeavor to, okay, I'm going to record this band. I'm going to make tapes. I meet you. You're a fan. You've got some tapes of some other show you went to. I'll trade you a copy of mine for a copy of yours. Bands back then tried to fight all that, but the Grateful Dead welcomed it. They even had a taping section in their shows. And, when I say taping section, there's guys coming in with, microphones on tripods that they're raising up. I mean, they were, for the time, they were using some pretty sophisticated technology to get quality recordings, but it wasn't in anybody's way because you were in a section with a bunch of other people who were doing the same thing. That's the way to do it. And you could even sell that as maybe an upgrade. Hey, if you want to be in the taping section, then do that. That's a pretty good idea. Let's see here. Rob Cooper says, just be considerate. If you're in the pit and holding shit up in front of people's view, then you deserve it when someone slaps your device out of your hand and it gets trampled. If you're in the back, then who cares? I like this one. Gene O'Neill says, okay, Glenn Danzig, that's the lead singer of the Misfits. Glenn Danzig should be happy anyone would want to take his picture these days. He looks like Ray Longo's ugly sister. That's him right there. That's fun.
He does. That guy changed drastically, huh?
Yeah.
He does not age well.
Well, first of all, he's about 4'11". And I think, not to paint with a tiny brush, but I think sometimes when you don't have a lot of room to spread out this way, you just spread out that way, right?
I remember actually seeing him in concert.
Yeah. Oh, you've seen Danzig?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, my dad's second wife.
Wait, you said something to me about that. Okay, go ahead and tell the story.
Yeah, she was big time into that kind of music. Rocker girl, White Snake, I think, stuff like that.
I think I dated her. Oh, this is going to be awkward.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm old dad. So she one time, because I was a nerd growing up, she tried to get me out of my shell a little bit.
Sure.
When her friends all went to a Danzig concert, they brought me along. So I was like the 16-year-old kid tagging along. We saw him at the Huntington. There was
the old theater.
Yeah.
What is that thing? The Heritage.
The Heritage.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, before the ceiling fell in.
Right, yeah. Okay, very nice. Well, those were excellent comments to the conversation from everybody there on our Phone Booth Fighting Facebook page and the official Frank Mir Facebook page as well. So thanks for weighing in and sharing those. All right. I got this one for you to wrap up here, Frank. And I hate to, do a touchdown dance just yet. But checking in with our celebrity death pool that we play in with Doug Stanhope, there's been a major move in the rankings. First of all, we have about 100 listeners playing in our Phone Booth Fighting League, and we're going to monitor that very closely right up until the last day of the year, New Year's Eve. Our current leader out of all of those listeners is Washed Up Willie. Current first place ranking score of 346 points with 7 kills.
Damn, second place is only 230?
Yeah, second place behind him is 230.
Washed Up Willie just...
Washed Up Willie's running away with it.
He slam dunked the damn.
Yeah. And
I hope he never puts me on a list. Shit.
I am, in our show league, I am ranked 11th, 4 kills for 152 total points. And you, sir, are far behind that. Let me see if I can even find... Oh, there you are. You're 38th.
Okay.
With 3 kills and 72 points. Now, in addition to the show league, you and I play in an invitation league that is run by Doug Stanhope himself. And that league has 13, 14 people playing in it. So you, me, 12 other people, and including Doug himself. Now, Doug is in first place with 281 points and 5 kills.
This is his first time ever winning, right?
So far, yeah. I mean, if his lead holds now, the second place person is at 253 points. So they're a striking distance. That's an easy 1 death score behind him for the next couple of weeks of the year. But yeah, Doug, I played in this every year that he's done it, and to me, he's never come close to winning it. So he's got. Well, I'll tell you who gave him a big boost is our mutual friend Ralphie May. As I said on the show, Ralphie knew ever since the inception of the Death Pool League that he was on Doug's roster, and Ralphie and Doug were friends. But Ralphie was an 80-point score because he was so young. And Doug also had Charles Manson, and he had Greg Allman. That was a good one too, because he had Greg as a solo pick, and Greg Allman was still worth 25 points on age points. It's your age. It's 100 minus your age is how it's scored. But here's the big news. I'm burying the lead, Frank. All right, got to pat myself on the back here, because after you started with the quickest kill in celebrity death pool history. That was verified. You did. You killed John Hurt within hours of the season launching. You didn't stop there. You have 5 kills for a collective score of 175 points. Let's review who those people are. Charles Manson, most recently. George the Animal Steele, the wrestler. Hugh Hefner. John Hurt, the actor I just mentioned. And famed rugby player Joost van der Woesthuizen. That's had you in 7th place. Now, you're only 2 points behind the guy who just claimed 6th place, and that's me. Somehow, I have surpassed you.
Clawed back.
With a couple of... now, I think I have to thank for that. I had Errol Christie, the British boxer. He died back in June. I had Gordon Downey, who was the frontman of the Tragically Hip, which was a legendary Canadian rock band. He died back in October. Peter Sallis, who was an old British actor. He died back in June. The score that caused this late surge was just back on December 5th. Michael I of Romania, the former king of Romania, died, and I collected a 54-point score. Only 4 of those points were age points because he was 96, but he was a solo pick. That means I'm the only person in the league that picked him. That was 25 points, and he was a politician, and this season we're given a special 25-point bonus score for a current or former politician. Now, what needs to happen here for anything to really change is, I'm at 6, you're at 7th. I mean, you one death. That's going to be worth 2 points. You'll move back ahead of me. Within striking distance, reasonably speaking, we could hit 4th place, even 3rd place if one of our higher picks were to hit. But there's a couple things to watch for. The biggest bonus you can possibly collect is the New Year's Eve death bonus. They call it the last call. It's worth 100 points. It's the biggest score in the game possible. And they do it because it's fun to be able to have the chance of shaking things up at the very last minute. And I tell you what, there's a guy on my roster. There's a guy who's a current politician and an American hero, for that matter, who's got a terminal illness and, in fact, is not even able to go to work these days. That I happen to have on my roster, and for a lot of reasons, I would be sorry to see him pass, because at times he has impressed me, sometimes not so much so, depending on which way the political wind is blowing that day. I'm talking about John McCain.
Oh, you got McCain?
I got him on my roster. And
isn't he doing good again, or is he doing
no,
bad?
He's doing not good. He, in fact, he did not even vote on the tax bill today because he went back home to Arizona. So, you don't wish death on these people, but if they have to go, you may as well benefit. That's right.
It could be a parting gift.
You know what? And Doug's, this is a controversial topic, and Doug Stanhope has a great way of explaining it. He says the mantra of Celebrity Death Pool is, we're not hypocrites. So it's like, I can be in yours, you can be in mine. Yeah. We're not looking at anybody going, okay, well, not that. Now that's going too far. I mean, Ralphie May. We were all friends with Ralphie May. Doug was friends with Ralphie May, and he'd look Ralphie May straight in the face and be like, sorry, dude, you're on my death pool list. You know who's been on mine for many years that is a friend, and you've got him on yours this year, is Ron Jeremy.
Yeah.
Ron Jeremy takes worse care of himself than anybody else I know. And I told him that one year. I said,
when you said that to me, that's why I put it in my mind, because you know a lot of people.
Yeah.
So for you to say that this is the unhealthiest guy
it's awful. It's awful.
Like not even like a close second.
Yeah. Yeah. And it got weird one year because I had him on my roster and he had a heart attack. He survived it.
I do know I'm picking more porn stars next year.
That's a good one. Go porn stars and also pro wrestlers tend to go.
I think it's more pro wrestlers because we had 2 porn stars just recently, just OD, or the one committed suicide on purpose, just like a week or 2 ago, and then like the next a couple days later, the other one, like, I don't think she committed. So they said she OD'd or something. She had pills next to her. I don't know what pills you OD on anymore, but I thought she just OD on heroin. But
well, you know my philosophy about that. You don't have to worry about the pills to OD on if you don't take the pills. I don't take the pills.
But what story starts off with "I didn't take the pill"?
I guess the one that ends with "and I woke up the next day"
with no cool story to tell anybody.
Well, maybe so. But I tell you what, when you have a slight headache like the one I had last night, that means the Advil is very effective, and that's following the recommended dosage. I take it and I completely feel it.
Yeah, see, no, I mean, I gotta tell everybody. Like, if I go to the doctor, like, "Hey, how do you feel?" I'm like, "Dude, that's not even gonna scratch the surface, buddy."
All right. Well, this has been a fun one. Now, next week, we're going to focus heavily on MMA, specifically UFC 219. The big end-of-the-year card, Chris Cyborg taking on Holly Holm. Khabib Nurmagomedov is back in action, taking on Edson Barbosa. We got that to talk about. And a couple of weeks after that, we got a huge Bellator card to talk about. Roy McDonald is making his return. And also the heavyweight tournament is kicking off. Chael Sonnen and Quentin Rampage Jackson are fighting, and that's very important for you.
What date is it going to be in?
January 20th, I believe.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I'll be in Grozny.
I think you're somewhere, but guess what, buddy? You beat Fedor, and you got the winner of that fight.
Yeah,
they're over on your side of the bracket, so we need to pay attention to that one. All right, so we'll be doing all of that, a very fight-intensive couple episodes next week. All right. You want to do something really special for us this Christmas season? Tell a friend. Tell a friend about phone booth fighting. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it helps us immensely. That is how we grow this podcast organically, one new listener at a time. So when you're sitting around that Christmas table and you're eating and you've opened up all the gifts and everything, look over at your drunk uncle and say, hey, you know what? I got one more Christmas present for you, and it's this hot tip. Subscribe to Phone Booth Fighting. He's going to say, what's a podcast, ask to see his iPhone, and just subscribe for him right there. And he will thank you for it. Trust me. Right, Frank. Tell everybody how to follow us on social media.
Facebook and Instagram. You can follow us at Phone Booth Fighting. Snapchat and Twitter. Follow us just at Phone Booth Fight.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. For Frank Mir, I'm Richard Hunter, and we will see you right back here next time on Phone Booth Fighting.